morning, everyone, and welcome to the 16th U.S. Africa Business Summit here in Dallas, Texas. I am honored to serve as your Master of Ceremonies for this opening ceremony of the summit. And I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces in the audience and to welcome so many esteemed guests. Before introducing the chair of the Corporate Council on Africa's Board of Directors to give the official welcoming remarks on behalf of our organization, I must honor and express my gratitude to the heads of state and deputy heads of government who have graced us with their presence and participation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. That was good, but it can be better. So let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Flory, and good morning to everyone again. Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as is often said on the African continent, all protocols observed. As the chairman of the Corporate Council on Africa, I am honored to welcome you to the 16th U.S. Africa Business Summit here in Dallas, my adopted hometown. As a Nigerian American with successful businesses on both continents, in many ways, I humbly embody what this summit represents and what it aims to achieve. After completing high school in Nigeria, I proceeded to the University of Texas at Dallas in America, and Dallas has been my home in America since. I used what I learned and took advantage of the opportunities to create a home healthcare technology company that continues to grow worldwide and serve millions of lives. And today, we are the market leader in our industry, globally. While doing so, I've always remained engaged in Africa, and in recent years, have been using my good fortune to make investments across Africa that create jobs and transform lives. Indeed, the tagline for our holdings company on the African continent is creating value and transforming lives. We believe in our organization that you can do good and do well, and can do well and do good. As a chairman of CCA, I am looking forward to building on the work of those who have contributed to CCA's success over the past 30 years and helping both Africa and America benefit from the demographic realignment in our world that has made Africa much more important to the world economy. I very much look forward to working closely with all of our U.S. and African government and private sector leaders and other stakeholders to accelerate economic development, foster transformative partnerships between the U.S. and Africa, and improve the lives of people on both continents, both in the U.S. and across the African continent. This summit will help us connect, catalyze, and amplify the tremendous opportunities that exist between the U.S. and African engagement. The rich variety of sessions at this year's summit highlight the areas of opportunity to accelerate and expand opportunities that abound for U.S.-Africa commercial and diplomatic engagement. The recent outstanding summits in Morocco and Botswana the past 2 years are tough acts to follow. And I was commenting to my friends from Botswana that the summit last year was the best ever, but it's our intention to make sure this is the best ever. Well, we want to make sure this is even better than that. So every year we want to make it better. I am confident that you'll be impressed by what we have to offer in Dallas. In many ways, I believe that the Dallas region symbolizes the vast potential that we all want to achieve. The Dallas region has demonstrated that anything indeed is possible with proper commitment and attention to growing a welcoming business environment with strong collaboration between the public and private sectors. For that reason, this is the first time the summit has been held in the United States since 2017, and the first one held outside of Washington, D.C. in 12 years. We therefore recognize the historic importance of this gathering here in Dallas for the next few days. I thank all our esteemed guests, especially the African heads of state and our president from Kosovo that's here with us today, and numerous African and U.S. government leaders for taking their time to be here and demonstrate their keen interest in expanding U.S. and African commercial and diplomatic ties. I want to especially recognize the Nigerian president, represented here by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tagar. Thank you for being here. And I also want to especially recognize and thank the President of Botswana, His Excellency, Dr. Eric Mugwitse Masisi, for visiting Dallas again. Let's put our hands together for him, please. Thank you for being here again. Thank you. For my American friends, I offer just a few facts that highlight the opportunity to be presented over the next few days and in the years to come. Africa's GDP has been growing at an average rate of 3.3% per year, surpassing the global average. The continent is home to 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, of course, offering immense business and commercial opportunities. Africa has a rapidly growing middle class, with consumer spending expected to reach $2.1 trillion by 2025. And of course, with the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Africa now has one of the world's largest free trade markets of 1.3 billion people and $3.4 trillion in combined GDP. Intra-African trade will expand, and Africa will play a more important role in the shift in global supply chains. Each year, the U.S. Africa Business Summit serves as a forum for U.S. businesses and government leaders to conveniently meet representatives from dozens of countries throughout Africa over a few days. So instead of having to take several trips all over Africa, we bring the very, very best of the U.S. and African private and public sectors together so we can connect, deepen existing connections, catalyze the type of work we want to see and outcomes, and then amplify existing successes as well. I encourage everyone here to start having conversations about opportunities that might be available and take the time to build the meaningful relationships that are the foundation of all great and lasting partnerships. My sincerest hope is that we will all have the opportunity to reflect back in years to come and say with pride that during this summit, we made connections, we built relationships, and forged partnerships that made a difference and resulted in improving the lives of billions of people all over the world, especially in the U.S. and on the African continent. And working together, I know we can. Welcome again to Dallas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for those excellent welcoming remarks. Many of you may not know that John Olajide is the first diaspora African chairman of the board of Corporate Council on Africa. So let's give him a round of applause. And please forgive me, I accidentally forgot to recognize someone seated on the front row, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Wamkele Mene. It's now my honor to welcome to the podium Sint Marshall, chair of the Dallas Regional Chamber, the largest business chamber in the country, and CEO of the Dallas Mavericks, recognizing the crucial support we have been provided by the Dallas Regional Chamber and the entire Dallas region business community. Thank you so much.
Good morning, beautiful people. Let me say that again. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Dallas. I can't tell you how honored we are to have so many important dignitaries from across the massive African continent in our community this week. It feels like the United Nations has moved to Dallas for a week. We are so blessed to have you in our midst. Just give yourselves a round of applause. Just look around this room. This is amazing. Our being together didn't happen by accident. One of our strongest business leaders, who also is one of our youngest business leaders, brought us together. He's filled with energy, enthusiasm, optimism, and hope. He has a brilliant mind, great leadership skills, and a gift for bringing people together. We see that in this room. His name is John Olajide. As he mentioned, John is originally from Nigeria. He came to Dallas when he was 16 years old to go to the University of Texas at Dallas. He later started, as he mentioned, a very successful home health care technology business called Access, and that's just the start for John. As Access is prospering, John is taking on new leadership responsibilities, including serving as the chair of the Corporate Council on Africa. John, I'm just so proud of you. I'm beside myself right now because he really is like a little brother to me. As John said, as in his chairmanship role, let's bring the U.S. Africa Summit to Dallas because Dallas is the most prosperous business city in America. He wanted this summit to be in the epicenter of American business. Here are a few numbers to prove John's point, because I like to speak with data. In the past 12 years, more than 240 companies have moved their headquarters to Dallas. There's more. We now have 24 Fortune 500 companies and 50 Fortune 1000 companies. And there's more. You can clap. Go ahead and clap. And in the past 12 years, more than 1.3 million new jobs have been created here. No other American market comes even close to these numbers. I want to mention Dale Petrosky, who is the president and CEO of the Dallas Regional Chamber, Scott Moore, managing partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I don't know if we have any other DRC board members here, but please stand so we can recognize you. Dale and any DRC, Dallas Regional Chamber board members. John, are you standing back there? Okay, John, you're one of our board members. We are so proud of what has happened here in Dallas. This is a sweet moment for Dallas, a sweet moment in time, a time when everything business-wise seems to be working. And there's more. The Dallas region has the third largest African diaspora of any market in the United States. So many Africans already call Dallas home. Yes, you can clap for that. So here we are together in Dallas, Texas. This is the perfect place for this summit. And it was John's vision to bring us all together. So thank you, John, and thank you for remembering Dallas. The African continent is, however, too often forgotten by American business, but it's filled with such promise. The African population is the youngest of any continent in the world. Think about that in terms of big new markets. Think about that in terms of the next great pool of talented people. Both of those apply to my world. The National Basketball Association is the most forward-looking and international of all of the major sports leagues in America. And my team, the Dallas Mavericks, is among the most forward-looking and international of all the teams in the NBA. And I have to just step aside from my remarks and thank you. Some of you attended our game on Friday night, and you helped us clinch round one of the playoffs. You cannot go home until the middle of June. We need you here until we lift that trophy. So I hope you packed a lot of clothes because you will be here for a while. The league and the Mavericks put a big focus on Africa for these two reasons: new markets and new talent, on and off the basketball court. Many of our Dallas-based companies, just like the NBA, are already doing business in Africa. And I know after this summit, more will be doing business in Africa once they meet all of you and have their eyes open to the potential. And we hope a lot more African companies will be looking to Dallas as a fertile new market. I am excited to meet all of you. We are going to become fast friends like me and my buddy Flory. We have so much in common. And when we work together and learn more about each other and understand each other, the future is exciting and our potential is unlimited. There's nothing we can't accomplish if we do it together. Thank you for joining us. I wish you an exciting and fruitful week in Dallas. And let's go Mavs.
Thank you, Cint. She's too much. And thank you and the Dallas Regional Chamber team for all of your support to bring this summit to Dallas. It is now my privilege to welcome Arcelia Acosta, Dallas Citizens Council and CEO, Carson Industries and Construction, and STL Engineers. The Dallas Citizens Council is Dallas citizens members provide leadership on policy issues that move Dallas forward and serve in the moments that matter the most for the people of Dallas. Arcelia, welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to Dallas. So excited to see so many of you here today, and so excited about, as John said, what is to come. I want to thank my good friend, John Olajide, for his vision, for his leadership in bringing this extraordinary event to Dallas. John is an exceptional leader in our Dallas business community and led the charge to make sure that we rolled out the welcome mats to make this event an incredible success, and we intend to do so. Since 1937, the Dallas Citizens Council has been advancing the visionary initiatives that have led significant progress in Dallas. That's 84 years. Our organization is comprised of CEOs of some of our significant companies based here in Dallas and in North Texas. And our goal is to come together as leaders and to invest and to raise money and to focus on areas that mean a lot for everyone to be able to prosper in Dallas. Some of the projects that we've worked on are infrastructure projects by establishing Central Expressway, a major freeway that runs through north and south of our city. Establishing a world-class medical hospital, Southwestern Medical School, and also raising the funds collectively to have the best county hospital, Parkland Hospital, based here in Dallas. We've recently advocated for dollars from our Texas legislature for $4 billion to create a brand new convention center you sit in here today. So we're excited about the next time you come to visit us. Our organization focuses on primary public policy areas: education, mobility, housing, and the quality of life. And I am wanting to thank our amazing CEO, Kelvin Walker, who leads this organization. Thank you, Kelvin. As an entrepreneur myself, I'm excited about the possibilities that present themselves over the next few days and the friendships that will be forged to accomplish extraordinary things together in the future. We are laying the groundwork right now for amazing things to come over the next several days. I also want to bring and recognize a message from our governor of the great state of Texas. John, I want to acknowledge the governor could not be here today, but he sends a proclamation to thank you all for being here and for joining us in our great state of Texas. Again, I'm proud to be a part of this, and we'll talk to you soon and get to know each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arcelia. It is now my great honor and privilege to welcome the head of the United States government delegation to this 16th U.S. Africa Business Summit, a member of President Biden's cabinet, and someone I feel very blessed and fortunate to count as a colleague and a personal friend, the Honorable Linda Thomas Greenfield, the United States Permanent Representative to the United Nations. Ambassador.
Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I hear that said a lot in these meetings, and we always say, as the Africans say, all protocols observed. So I'm going to take that down a level and say where I first heard that phrase was in Nigeria. So we'll give Nigeria credit for that. As the Nigerians say, all protocols observed. Let me start by welcoming all of you. On behalf of the Biden administration, it is truly, truly an honor to lead the U.S. delegation to this year's U.S. Africa Business Summit. And I also want to start by thanking CCA, and especially to thank Flora Lizier, the president and CEO. I want to thank her for her extraordinary and visionary leadership that really has moved the U.S. Africa Business Summit and idea to where we are today. I also want to thank the City of Dallas for their warm welcome and their extraordinary hospitality. From day one, our administration has made it a priority to support inclusive and sustainable economic growth in Africa. This commitment is personal to me. It was in Africa that I fell in love with public service, and it was in Africa that I forged relationships and gained experiences that would truly shape my life. So I feel very much at home in this audience. I feel like I have come home, having spent most of my life on the continent. As a career member of the Foreign Service, I served across the continent of Africa, including as ambassador to Liberia and as Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. And now I have the distinct honor of serving as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And yes, we have brought the UN to Dallas. In all of these roles, I have seen the inextricable link between democracy and development, that freedom, stability, and equality beget economic growth, and economic growth increases freedom, stability, and equality. That development progress is sustained by good governance, democratic governance. It's why the United States is catalyzing investments in African people and businesses, by working with partners here today to improve the regulatory environment and enhance regional integration, and by developing and increasing investment opportunities with U.S. businesses, creating jobs here in America and creating jobs in Africa. Today, our country is proud to partner and invest in energy, digital technology, climate security and infrastructure, and to work hand in hand with leaders across Africa to combat food insecurity, enhance agricultural sustainability, and improve health outcomes. In the last year and a half alone, the Biden administration has supported and helped close 547 new deals for a total estimated value of over $14 billion. We were honored to host the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit where we deepen the ties between our countries and peoples. Through initiatives like the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, Empower Africa, we have helped increase digital infrastructure, transportation, and clean energy projects across the continent. And we've invested $10 billion in 24 African countries through the Millennium Challenge Corporation. And I thank Alice Albright, the CEO, who's here with us today. It has been 20 years since President Bush launched MCC, what he called, quote, a new compact for global development defined by new accountability. I was so proud to introduce and honor him last night. Back then, he posited that when you tie developmental assistance to political, economic, and legal reform, you both incentivize that reform and laid a foundation for truly sustainable development. In the time since MCC compacts have helped reduce gender inequality in Cote d'Ivoire, improve training and education for underserved populations in Namibia. They have electrified the Gambia, unlocked agricultural productivity in Senegal, and transformed the water sector in Zambia. And just last night, we commemorated the launch of Malawi's second MCC compact to reduce key constraints to growth. And while I don't want to pick favorites, I do want to take a moment to talk about my favorite, Liberia. Because it's there that I saw up close the power of democracy to catalyze stability and growth. I first visited Liberia in the 1970s. I bet a lot of you weren't even born then. And I returned in the early 2000s as the country was beginning to rebuild from the ashes of a horrific civil war. And I remember the tenuous hope in the air that maybe, just maybe, the country could get back on its own 2 feet. And then I came back later, a few years later, as the U.S. ambassador. And by the time I left Liberia in 2012, there was a different kind of spirit in the air. To be sure, people still had their struggles. They worked hard to put food on the table, to provide a better life for their children. But they nonetheless felt incredibly hopeful about the future of their nation, because they saw that with democracy came investment, and that investment strengthened democracy. In the time since, while it has not been linear, we've seen that democracy and that investment continues to grow. In 2015, MCC signed a compact with Liberia that doubled electricity access and built a data-driven road maintenance system. And just this January, I traveled to Liberia to mark an extraordinary achievement, the country's second peaceful transition of power since the end of the Civil War. And I will never forget, Mr. President, I will never forget the image of former President Sirleaf, outgoing President Weah, and incoming President Boykai standing on stage at the inauguration hand in hand. It was a powerful moment for the world. It was a powerful symbol for West Africa. And through all this work in Liberia and beyond, the United States stands, in the words of President Biden, ready to be a partner in solidarity, support, and mutual respect. Indeed, I want to be clear. It isn't about what the United States is doing for African nations. It's about what we're doing with African nations. As much as our government allocates to the region in foreign assistance, the U.S. private sector invests 4 times that in the African economy. These investments are bolstered by public-private partnerships, partnerships that help de-risk investments and bring them to scale, partnerships that advance sustainable development, partnerships that create jobs and create positive change. This week, senior officials from across the U.S. government are here We're here to support initiatives that empower African leaders. The diversity of U.S. departments and agencies represented in Dallas reflect the breadth and depth of opportunities for partnerships with the United States. And this is key because the ideas and innovations that start in Africa will help solve the problems that impact us all. This is the change we can create together. These are opportunities that we can open for all of our citizens. This is what this summit is all about. And on behalf of President Biden, I want to thank all of you for being here and for your continued partnership in the weeks, months, and years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to collaborative relationships around the world, and especially between the United States and Africa. And thank you for leading such a high-powered delegation representing a range of U.S. government agencies working hard every day to foster sustainable U.S.-Africa partnerships. Well, to all of you, I hereby declare the 16th United States Africa Business Summit of the Corporate Council on Africa open. It is an honor to moderate this discussion since I have had personally the privilege of traveling across the continent and seeing many of the MCC Compact projects over the years. I'm delighted that we're welcoming 3 esteemed presidents who have traveled to Dallas, Texas to promote the opportunities for business partnership and investment relationships between their countries and the United States. His Excellency President Jose Maria Neves of Cabo Verde, His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi, and His Excellency President Joseph Boakai of Liberia. And I welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, my dear friend, the Honorable Alice Albright. So please, if I could ask for a warm round of applause to welcome all the speakers who are here on the stage. So yesterday evening, the Millennium Challenge Corporation partnered with the George W. Bush Institute, joined by former President Bush himself, to celebrate the incredible bipartisan effort to pass the legislation that created the Millennium Challenge Corporation some 20 years ago. Among the members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, that voted overwhelmingly for the MCC Act was then Senator and now President Joe Biden. MCC represented an innovative approach to UN foreign development assistance, underscoring the importance of partnering with a country to develop a program that they themselves lead and take ownership of. MCC emphasizes results, accountability, and incentivizes policy and institutional reforms that catalyze private sector investment, creating the broader supportive ecosystem to not just sustain, but propel entrepreneurialism and accelerate economic growth. MCC programs in Africa have made a significant impact, improving infrastructure, education, power generation, and so much more. Economic opportunities that have benefited millions of people across the continent, and $10 billion of investment in the continent of Africa. MCC's commitment to sustainable development continues to drive positive change in Africa's best governed countries, many of which are represented here tonight. And so with that prelude, might we begin our discussion? And we do seek a discussion to share thoughts and experiences and ideas here in this session. So for this first question, I would ask each of you, if you wouldn't mind speaking to your views from your own perspective and that of your country. President Chikwera, perhaps you could share your views from Malawi's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Today marks a momentous occasion as we reflect on the profound impact of the Millennium Challenge Cooperation, MCC, in the 20 years of its existence. Malawi's journey with MCC commenced in 2005, when it was granted a 3-year threshold country program supported by an investment of $20.9 U.S. million. This program focused on crucial aspects of our nation's development, including combating public corruption and enhancing fiscal management. Through targeted interventions, we fortified our governance structures, enacted important legislation such as the anti-money laundering law, and introduced plea bargaining provisions under the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Code. These foundational efforts paved the way for Malawi to qualify for the MCC's first compact program. The first compact, launched in 2013, received an allocation of $350.7 million US. This transformative 5-year program centered on addressing the need for reliable energy and power infrastructure to fuel sustainable economic growth. Through this compact, Malawi constructed about 400 kilometers of power transmission and distribution lines, refurbished 26 substations, and upgraded the Nkula A hydroelectric power plant. The immediate benefit was the 30% increase in our power production or generation capacity, which significantly reduced power outages that were crippling industries and the provision of critical social services. For the long term, the compact created an enabling environment for independent private sector producers to enter the energy market, fostering competition, innovation, and efficiency. Several producers have since entered the market, with many focusing on clean energy. So far, 2 projects have been commissioned and many are in the pipeline. It further permitted us to embark on an interconnector project with the Republic of Mozambique and access to trading electricity in Southern Africa. Malawi's access to the regional power pool offers cost savings, energy security and reliability, and trade opportunities. Reliable energy for Malawi will improve production and the quality of life, as well as bolstering production. Malawi is therefore immensely grateful, as the infrastructure will allow more Malawians to access electricity, currently at 25%. There are therefore vast opportunities for investment in this area. The recent launch of the second compact for Malawi will build across the success of the previous one, but this new 5-year compact aims to support economic growth and by targeting key binding constraints in the transport, land administration, and private sector investment. Ultimately, these new transport corridors in targeting rural areas will reduce time and transport costs, thereby supporting smallholder farmers who face a lot of challenges in accessing urban, regional, as well as export markets. Although my government is promoting a drive towards agricultural commercialization and mechanization, a large percentage of the population still practices subsistence farming, as the country depends on agriculture. The second compact will therefore enhance food security, promote rural livelihoods, and foster sustainable agricultural development. Furthermore, we are grateful that we are able to export some of our agricultural produce to this country under the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which presents a valuable opportunity for Malawi to expand its exports. It is not possible to point out exact figures, but the benefit accrued through the MCC compacts are numerous, and millions of Malawians have been positively impacted in many ways, and we thank the government and the people of the United States of America for their unwavering support. Together, we can overcome challenges, unlock potential, and build a brighter future for our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Chikwera. And let me just say to all those here, we know that you have a flight that you absolutely must catch, and so feel free when it's needed for your team. They've told us many times that they need to get you out of here at a certain point. But we're going to continue this dialogue, and please stay for as long as you can, but feel free to exit when you need to. President Boakai, though you took office in January of this year, we know that you have been a prominent government leader in Liberia for many, many years. Would you like to reflect on how prior MCC Threshold Compact program impacted Liberia's citizens, and perhaps also share your thoughts on future partnerships with MCC?
Thank you so much, and thanks for this opportunity to be here, Madam Albright. And I came along with the Minister of Finance in 2015 to sign for the $257 million. At that time, we had problem with our electricity. There were just about 28 megawatt of electricity afforded to the entire city of Monrovia. And with the $257 million, we were able to stretch electricity from 28 megawatts, it quadrupled. We have 116 megawatts of electricity from that money. Our access to electricity went from 9.4 to 30%, and the residents of Monrovia, the power theft was cut from 47.7% to 31%. We had access from 38,000 family members to 282,000 persons. The price went from 50 cents per kilowatt hour to 24 cents. You can imagine the saving to water just for pumping water to the city. We were able to save up to about $780,000. And so the amount of money was able to bring about development and business opportunities. We were able to get power into a lot of school buildings and business centers. And Liberia now has the opportunity to build on that electricity. And I can say that this has brought a lot of improvement to our economic stand, and want to say thank you so much to the MCC. That was the first MCC, and it is our hope that we'll improve upon this. And also, what that does is that we had the opportunity on improving on our relationship with our neighbors, because we have border that were able to benefit from our economic activities. And so we are very grateful to the MCC, and we look forward to building on what we have enjoyed so far. And I hope under my administration, we are now fighting corruption. We are now making sure the rule of law will prevail. We came up with what we call ARREST as our development agenda. ARREST, A-R-R-E-S-T, meaning agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism. And we believe that with that, we're going to make sure Liberia will bounce back in a very terrible way. We are happy that we were able to have a peaceful election that brought us to power, and it sent message to the world that Liberia is back for business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Boyka. Before we turn back to President Neves, let me bring in CEO Albright, my dear friend, to say a little bit about how you view the process that MCC has for developing your programs and your compacts with partner countries. I believe it's been, is it 17 across Africa that have had MCC compacts, both full compacts and threshold compacts, which is just amazing, you know, over the 20-year history of MCC. So congratulations on all that you all have done these past 20 years. But share a little bit with all of us about the process and your perspectives on that.
Thank you so much, Flory. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting us. We love doing stuff with CCA, and it's a great honor, of course, to be here with President Neves, President Boakai, and of course, as he's left, President Chakwera. I think all of you have heard from the three heads of state here what it is like to work with MCC, and I think there's no more powerful example for understanding it than hearing from President Boakai, Neves, and Chakwera. Zooming out a little bit, for those of you who don't know MCC, we've been in business for 20 years now. We're in our 20th year. We've deployed $17 billion. We have deployed, Africa represents about 2/3 of our work. We've deployed $10 billion in Africa, working with 24 countries on the continent. Our mission is to eradicate poverty through economic growth. You've heard from the presidents how we actually do that. First of all, we're very selective with the countries that we work with. Countries have to be democracies, they have to be investing in their people, and they have to be trying to build a very sound economic environment. But once countries do become eligible, we go deep and we go big. And you've heard from the presidents about the sizes of the compact investments that we make. Principally, we invest in infrastructure, although not exclusively, but that tends to be a lot of what we do. This is about building transmission lines, roads, schools. We also invest in education systems, health clinics. President Neves talked about a big port, which I saw not too long ago. So you can see that these are the basics that countries need to help advance their own economic agenda. What is distinctive about MCC, in addition to the sizes of the grants involved, and I'll say grants and not loans, is that we work very closely with countries from the very beginning to put them in the driver's seat. Countries get to determine the areas that we work in, countries get to determine the types of projects that we work on, and countries are made responsible for the implementation. One thing we do have is a 5-year time clock. That once we start implementing, things have to be done in 5 years, which is very good for everybody to stay on track. But given that we're here with so many representatives from the corporate environment, one thing I wanted to point out is how valuable working with countries is for creating an auspicious environment for companies to invest. You've heard a lot about the rule of law, about stability, about transparency, about procurement systems, all of about skills, about infrastructure. All of these things are very necessary ingredients for corporates to begin to look at different countries and figure out where they want to invest. So in addition to the particular areas that we work on with countries, we think we set an effective, working with countries, a very effective table for private sector investors to come in. So we're all in and ready to go for our next 20 years. We've done $10 billion in Africa in 24 countries for the first 20 years, and let's try to top it for the next 20 years. Flory, thank you.
So to wrap up, let us go back and maybe just President Boykai, I think President Neves has said some last words, but President Boykai, would you like to say anything else about the importance of MCC and just what you hope for in the future as you new leadership of Liberia?
Well, Liberia has bordered with Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and so almost we have citizens living in both areas, and so there's a lot of business and family relationship. And so one of the things that we need to improve connectivity, the road system, and that's why we came up with IRS, and the second to agriculture is roads. Travels are very difficult. Connectivity is very important because there's a lot of border trade, businesses, and security. Without good road network and connectivity, the borders, especially in a trouble region like we have now, it is very important to have good communication, good road network, and to improve relationship on both sides of the border. And so our need now is to build our road network, to be able to improve our communication system, and to be able to build relationship within the sub-region. I think that our communities are very small, and with good road network, with programs on each side, so that we can improve our trade. The more we do that, the more secure we are, and the better we can begin to expand our trade and relationship across the borders. That I think the road and communication very important to be able to improve the relationship in our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Boykai. And before I give the last word to Alice, let me just thank MCC for the incredible work it's doing all across the world, but especially on the continent. That's where my heart is. And just to know that even though there's always a lot of talk about other countries and partners of Africa who are building up Africa's infrastructure, I just want to say that through MCC and a number of other U.S. programs, PGII and others, supported by U.S. government agencies, we love what MCC is doing, and the private sector looks forward to continuing to work with you here, with MCA partners on the ground, to realize the vision for that sustainable partnership that we have with the continent of Africa through MCC and other programs of the United States that build up Africa's infrastructure. So, Alice, the last word is yours.
Thank you so much, Flory. Just two final points, and huge thanks to you, President Neves and President Boykai, and in absentia, President Chakwera, for joining us this morning and being such wonderful partners for MCC. President Neves, you touched on a bit of a new program that we have called a regional compact, and of course we've just selected Cabo Verde as our first island nation regional program. We're very excited about that, but this is a new authority that the agency received in 2018, and I think it's going to really give us some terrific opportunity to look at regional integration in a variety of ways, and we're very excited about it. When I think about our next, dare I say it, our next 20 years, I think that I would forecast that we'll be seeing different types of regional tools more and more, particularly because of trade and integration. Second point is we have a number of other agencies of the U.S. government here as part of our delegation. I encourage everyone to meet everybody, but if you look at how all the tools of the U.S. government fit together, I think it's a very compelling picture of different types of ways that we can bring our capabilities as a government together to work with all of you, to invest, to think about infrastructure, to think about what the continent needs for the future. One of the things that is a common theme through all of it is the ability to work on different aspects of infrastructure, and we're very enthusiastic to meet with country partners here as well as all of you from the corporate sector over the course of the wonderful CCA to see what we can do together. But thank you so much, and it's just wonderful to be here.
Great, thank you. So could I ask for a round of applause for the excellencies, the presidents of Cabo Verde, Malawi, Liberia, and the CEO of MCC. Thank you so much.